Yo, what's up, Dynamite? This is your boy Oscar Ntege again with yet another amazing tutorial. In this advanced retouch tutorial, I'm going to show you how to edit an outdoor portrait using high-end retouching techniques. Let me say this again. I'm going to show you how to edit your outdoor portraits using simple high-end retouching techniques. This is going to be quite a long tutorial, so brace yourself for awesomeness, because what I'm going to share with you here is knowledge that is going to uplift and help you add value to your portraits, to your outdoor portraits, and to your photography as a whole. By the end of this tutorial, you will be able to charge as much as you can. This is what we're going to do in this particular tutorial. 1, I'm going to show you how to do skin retouching. 2, I'm going to show you how to match skin color. You know, when you see these particular knuckles, they're a bit dark, and I need to show you how to brighten them up and make them match the color as the rest of the skin. Then I'm also going to show you how to remove these veins in a more natural way without deleting them as such, but reducing their intensity so that the eyes don't get so red. And I'm also going to show you how to color grade the whole image, and then I'm also going to show you how to bring more presence in the eyes, in that when somebody looks at your portraits, they feel the presence of somebody they are shooting. Have you been in a situation where you're scrolling through Instagram or social media and you see this very awesome kind of image that makes you stop? Now I'm going to show you how to make your images pop. Okay, now if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, you should take a moment and subscribe to this channel right now, because man, let me just give you a moment to do that. Done? Awesome. Now let's dive into this. Now we're going to use a technique called frequency separation for editing the skin. How are we going to do this? Now you're going to come here into the layer section right here. If you don't have this particular panel, you're going to come into here, Windows, and you click layers. Definitely it's going to come and show up here. So what you're going to do, you just come and duplicate this twice by dragging it here. Tap and tap. So here's what is going to happen. We're going to name this tones, and we're going to name this textures. Okay, now why am I naming it like this? Here's how frequency separation works. Now frequency separation is a skin retouching technique that helps you edit textures of an image as textures and colors of an image as colors. So what we are going to do, we are going to separate the textures of this particular image and the colors of this particular image and put them all on different layers. Look at it as having an instrumental of, look at it as a song. Imagine this song, imagine a song where an instrumental is put on a different file and vocals are put on a different file. Yeah, now this is what we're going to do. We are going to separate the colors and put them on a different frequency, and also get the textures and put them on a different frequency. I think that is how I can explain it in a layman's language. So what are we going to do here? We're going to come and remove the eye here so that we make the texture layer invisible. So we are going to select the tonal layer. In fact, let me change it and call it the color. Yes, the color. Yes, the tonal layer, the color layer. So we come here and say filter. I need your maximum attention here, because once you mess up in this first phase, this is where most people go wrong. So come here and say filter, blur. You say Gaussian blur. Okay, ready? Now I'm going to put this to 0, and I explained something here. So what are we going to do? So every texture that we want to maintain in our final image is going to be blurred out here. Yes, it sounds weird, but every texture we want to maintain in our final image is going to be hidden here. How are we going to hide it? We're going to hide it in a blur. Okay, so we are going to blur it out. I think I love this texture here. I love this texture here. It makes the skin feel real and the like. So we're just going to come and blur this out. Oh, and by the way, if you want to follow along, I've left the link of the image just down below here, so you can go down, download it, and you can pause the video, download it, and then come back and, you know, continue. We edit together. So let me just take this back a little bit. So we are going to come and make sure this whole thing is blurred out. Okay, now I don't want you to cram digits and say, okay, Oscar, put it at 7.2. I'm also going to put it at 7.2, because you may not get the same results if you put it at 7.2, because the blur amount of blur you give here is so much dependent on how big the image is and how a person was close to the camera, on the focal length, on all those factors. So you make sure use your eyes as a point of measurement. You make sure you don't see any texture. I still see texture here, so I'm just going to come and still blur. I still see the texture here, and yes, I guess I've lost the texture. I think this will do for me. Let me just zoom out a little bit. I think I still see texture. I'm going to come and still zoom and, yeah, blur out a little bit more. And yes, now all of the texture is gone. You don't have to blur it out in such a way that you lose out on the identity of the person. You still have to see that, hey, these are eyes, this is her nose, she still has to feel identical. Okay, so we come here and say okay. So you come, select the upper layer, make it more visible again, and then you come and say image, apply. Now you remember, as I told you, that we wanted to subtract all the texture and all the texture we had hidden. Now it is time to extract it from this layer and put it on this particular layer. How are we going to do that? We are going to subtract it. Okay, we're not multiplying it. We're going to come here and look for the subtract there. Okay, so we're going to put the scale at 2 and put the offset at 128. Okay, so you come here, rather here on the layer, right here on the layer, you just come and say color. You select the color layer, because remember, that's where you want to steal the texture that we had blurred out. Okay, so you come and say color. So your image is supposed to look like this. Okay, so we are going to come here and say okay. So basically this upper part is only texture. You know, if I removed these things, you see we have texture. This is texture only, and this is color only. So what are we going to do now? We're going to come here and change this and make it linear light. See, now let me just put this in a group like that. We are going to rename this frequency. Is that the spelling? Frequency. So we have two images on this layer. Yeah, we have this image here that has frequency, and we have the background image. These two images are the same. The only difference between these images is that this has its frequencies separated. This is separated into two fractions, and this is one whole image. So we are going to work on the textures first. How are we going to do this? Definitely this is the fun part. Oh my god, you're going to love this. Let me just put this in let me just zoom it out a bit. Yeah, like that. So we're going to create a top black and white layer to help us make the pimples visible, every pimple to be visible, because when you look at her, she has a fairly good skin actually. She just has a few pimples when you look here visually, but we need to create a black and white layer so that we make these more visible. How do we do that? You just come here and say over here into adjustment layers and look for black and white. So when you look for black and white, let us put this a bit down. We're going to come and crush the reds. When you crush the reds, definitely every blemish is going to come and float on top. Look at that, man. Look at that. Oh my god. Ready? So remember, this is just a black and white help layer. We don't even need it. It is only going to help us see these vividly. So I'm going to get my clone stamp right here, and then increase the opacity and flow. Then I'm going to right click, put in the hardness, and then guess what? You guessed it right. I'm going to zoom in like that, and then begin picking out these pimples. How does the clone stamp work? Now the clone stamp, you press Alt on your keyboard and you click at a place that doesn't have pimples, then you release the Alt key and then you click again onto that place that has pimples. Do you want me to do that again? For example, if I want to remove this white dot here, I'll just come, press Alt on my keyboard, then click to make a selection, and then release the Alt key and then click here to remove. Okay, so I click like that. So we're going to like that. See? Oh my god, this is so amazing. And man, at the end of the day, it takes a bit of time really removing this, but when you finish, the results you get are the most incredible results, man. It's the image is quite big, and I think it is a 50 megapixel camera, so the computer is a bit slow, but but you get the point. Okay, so we are just going to come and remove all these pimples, all these. Isn't this amazing? Isn't this incredible? Yeah, it really takes time, but at the end of the day, man, it's worth everything. So I'm just going to zoom out a little bit so that I see it from a distance. Yep. So we come. Remember to put in the hardness whatsoever. Yeah. Alternatively, let me use the spot healing tool. Yeah, and just to come and okay, now I just have an issue with the spot healing tool. Sometimes it leaves marks, especially, you know, in certain parts where you don't want them. That is why I prefer using the clone stamp for most of these edits, because it gives me fairly like that. I mean, this is very, very amazing, the way that we have all these tools that just enable us get all this. Now what I would advise you is if you can master this craft, and because once you master and becomes second nature of you, and you begin concentrating more on the creative part, man, that would be the most awesome thing, so that you don't incline so much onto the technical stuff, because this technical stuff, everybody can do this, but what is going to set you apart from the rest of the photographers, I mean you watching this video right now, who is even still into this video, is the creative bit, you know. So if you can master this as a technique and the craft, yeah, so it is your creativity that is going to set you apart from the rest of the photographers, because this is a learnable thing. Everybody can learn this, but it is the only thing that sets us apart is the creativity. So I'll just remove the black and white layer so that I see my progress. So I'll still come here and remove these. Okay, the image is very big, man. That's why the computer is even I don't know why the computer is slow, but anyway, let us work. We shall figure it out. Yep. Okay, so what are we going to do next? The next thing we are going to do the skin. How are we going to do the skin? So I'm just going to come here and then get this. Yeah, just the lasso tool. I'm going to put this in 18, the feather in 18, and then we're just going to come here and we select. So we come into filter, we say blur, Gaussian blur. So we're going to first put it at 0. So you're going to come and blur it out until you see the skin getting even. Slowly you go on measuring. You don't want it to take it overboard in a way that you lose out on the highlights and contours. No, we don't want to lose out on the highlights. So you take it in such a way that when you see the skin has got even, you stop around that area. I'll keep it at around that because I don't want to lose out on the contours and all that stuff. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to press Ctrl Alt and F to repeat the action. Same, Ctrl Alt and F to repeat the action, just like that. So when I come to the forehead, I don't think I need to use the same Gaussian blur, so I'll just come here still, and then I come into filter like that, blur, Gaussian blur, and then I'm doing this because different parts of the face usually have different kinds of textures, so they require different kinds of blurs, yeah, so that you don't have the whole image looking flat. By nature, nature is naturally has a variety, and so are all these textures in the face. And as a human being, just imagine the whole human body had the same texture. Wouldn't that be so boring? So as you're doing your frequencies, you make sure your Gaussian blurs, you make sure you don't make the same frequencies for every part. Now look at the neck, compare the texture here and the texture in the neck, it's completely different. So I'll just come still in blur and give it a different Gaussian blur because they require different levels, yeah, so that when somebody looks at your image, they see it is much more about deceiving the human eye, in that when they look at the image, they get that illusion of naturalism, but in actual sense we are only giving them the ideal. Idealism is about expressing the greatness and hiding the weaknesses. That is what idealism is all about. So I'll still come here and do the Alt Control F, still there, all that. Don't worry, we are going to come to this part where we're going to work on the knuckles and remove all these see all that. Okay, oh my god, now let me just come and remove this pimple here. So I'll still come here into my clone stamp and then just erase it. So I'll get my Gaussian blur still, my lasso tool, and just pass it around here, then press Alt Control F. I think there are white dots here that I need to get rid of, so I'll just come with my clone stamp, reduce the brush size, and then just clone them out like that. If you have time, you can go ahead and remove all these white dots, but I don't want the tutorial to be 4 hours, because typically if I'm doing a very, very high-end kind of image, it would take me a good 3 hours working on one single image. I'll finish it, come look at it, and but this is a YouTube tutorial. I really can't go that much. I bet you can sit on a YouTube video for 4 hours, can you? Come on, you're only saying that just because. Anyway, we remove all these white dots, and so that we have. So I think I have worked on the tones. So what are we going to do next? The next thing we're going to do, we are going to remove these dark knuckles. How do we do that? What we are going to do, we are going to put a layer in between the texture layer and the color layer. So how are we going to do that? We just select the color layer and then create a new empty layer, and we are going to remove this. We call this blotches. Am I doing the right spelling? Anyway, I'm not an English teacher, and English is not my first language, but you understand. I'm just going to remove these dark knuckles. So how are we going to do this? We're going to come here, get the brush tool right here, and then change this to lighten, just like that. And we are going to reduce the opacity and flow. We shall keep this at 30, and we're going to keep the opacity here at around 17. Let me just reduce this to around 19. So because I just want to go on building it slowly by slowly. So what are we going to do? You're going to press Alt on your keyboard, just like that, to pick a color like that, and then you come and paint over here. You just paint over here, and then we choose a color again here, and then we just paint over here. Remember to have this selected. You still come here, do the same, and then you paint over here. Still here, same, you paint over here. So for the sake of this tutorial, I'm just going to come and increase the flow a little bit, just there. But it's good you build it slowly by slowly. I'll show you how it works on this here. Look at this. So you come and paint over here. You know, you build it slowly by slowly. You know, I'm going to also come and change the blending mode and make it natural here, and going to come and still come and paint over here. Yeah, where the knuckles tend to become stubborn, you can always change the blending mode to natural, so that we just paint color over there. You know, I was putting it natural so that I leave like that here, and then all that. You forgive my background noise. Somebody is cleaning and they're speaking on phone. I don't know whether they haven't realized that I'm recording, but anyhow, let us continue. The good thing, you my people are listening. So let me just show you how what we've done. Look at this. That's the before. See how dark the knuckles were, and that is the after. Before and after. Before, I mean, that is very, and I see a lot of people, especially editing, this is the same technique you can use to brighten up even armpits, underarms. It's this, oops, sorry, just still going to come here and brighten it up here. You can use the same thing to brighten up under armpits, where else, on the knee area, all those particular parts, you use the same technique. Done. Now we are done with the blotching. So what else are we going to do now? Now we are going to create some dimension in the image. How are we going to do this? We are going to use what they call burning and dodging. Okay, so let me just come here and delete this, because we have outdone its use. Come on, let me just come and, I don't know why it's not getting deleted. Yes, please delete. Okay, so now what are we going to do? We are going to do some burning and dodging. Okay, so what we are going to do, before we go into burning and dodging, I'm just going to take you through a brief lesson of what we do when it comes to burning and dodging. The whole essence of burning and dodging is about adding more depth, more dimension into an image, so that when somebody looks at an image, they feel like they're going through a 3D, it's moving through 3D space. Basically, it's about creating that dimension and all that. You know, it is about you dictating how lights affect the whole outlook of an image. Look at it as a makeup artist contouring the person after applying foundation and the like, so that they give the face that illusion of shape. If you're a man here, have you ever looked at your woman after a face beat and you're like, oh my god, she's so beautiful? Now what they do to her face is contouring, and this is what we're going to do in this particular thing to create more depth. How are we going to do this? So let me just show you, to create a help layer just to guide you on how you're supposed to do that burning and dodging. Yeah, so I'm just going to use blue to illustrate the parts that we burn. So this is just my brush I'm just going to use. Yeah, so I burn, oh, let me just increase the opacity. So I just come here and burn over the edges here, so that I confine the face. First of all, these are the parts that I burn, so that I get the whole face confined into, yeah, into the whole thing. Then I begin chiseling, yeah, to create more of that Jennifer Lopez kind of cheekbones. You know, this you burn here to create emphasis onto the cheekbones. Then I come and burn below the chin, because there is, or usually below the lips, because there is usually a shadow, so that you create that illusion of depth over there. Then I'll come and burn around this particular area to give the nose that kind of look at it as that kind of elongation. Also here it is about creating such triangles like the same way here. So you still come here and burn all around here, yeah, but remember, don't to burn the nose highlight. Then I'm going to also come and burn over all around this to emphasize the mascara and the eyeshadow, and also create contrast all around the eyes. Even if somebody has reddish eyes like mine, if you burn around the eyes, somehow the eyes get brighter. It is something makeup artists do to make the eyes look brighter, because in actual sense, in reality, you cannot paint the eyes white. Yeah, you only have to paint mascara all around the eyes so that they create more contrast, so that her eyes become more brightened. Then we're also going to burn into the shadows here. Then we're also going to slightly burn over here, yes, and we are also going to burn over this particular zone, and maybe all around here. Where most people make mistakes, they tend to burn this area here. Now this area, when you burn them, especially if they're young, they turn out to look old. So this, I usually leave it with the lighting that it has. Yeah, that is what I do with the burning. Now you may be wondering, now what about the dodging? Now here, let me use this color yellow to demonstrate where I usually dodge. Now everywhere that light hits, I make sure I dodge there. So you'll see this area here, definitely I dodge there. Also this part of the eye, I dodge, and then I dodge onto the nose highlight. Then I usually dodge over this particular area, so that to create more contrast between the cheekbone and also the depth here. So I also come and dodge here. I also come and sometimes dodge over here, and then I come and also dodge over this. Sincerely speaking, if you're editing a dark skinned person, it's most of the times we do more of the dodging than, rather more of the burning than the dodging. Really, it depends on even how you've lit the whole image. So I think you guys have got the whole thing of burning and dodging. It's about creating depth. Okay, so I'm going to delete this and we are going to go into the actual thing. So what are we going to do here? You come here and get your curve adjustment layer, and then just pull this down. Yeah, pull this down. This is going to be our burn layer. Okay, so we're going to rename this burn. Okay, now before we proceed, we're going to create another adjustment layer, and we are going to call it hue saturation, and we are going to come and pull down the saturation just a little bit, because when you look at the burn layer, it's usually when you pull down the curves, they make the image go red. Yeah, and we don't want our image to become red in the parts that we are going to burn. So what we do, you come and pull down the saturation, and then you pin. You clip, you create what they call a clipping mask. Yeah, when I say clipping mask, you want this effect to affect only the layer that is below it. So how do you do that? Yeah, it was let me just put it back at 0. It was at 0 when you look. After us putting in curves, the skin tones became red. An indication when we begin our burning, those particular parts that we burnt will turn out to be red. So what we do, we come and punch down the saturation of this, and then you click below here, so that this effect only applies to this particular burn layer. Okay, so let me just close this. So what you're going to do, you're going to press Ctrl-I on your keyboard, so that we don't have that effect. We are going to come back and apply it. So we press Ctrl-I to invert the layer. So the next thing we are going to do, we are just going to create another one that is called the dodge layer. Still, you come here and say curves, and then you come and raise it up. Guy, am I very fast? Do you want me to slow down? Okay, let me continue. Now you're going to come here, and then we are going to close this one. Yeah, so we just raise it up so that the highlights pop. Okay, so what we are going to do here, we're just going to come still here and name this Dodge. Okay, and then we are still going to come and create that hue saturation layer, and then we don't want, when you look at this, the highlights are, we don't want again them to have that still color cast. So we're just going to come and pull down the saturation just a little bit, around, I think a 10 will be super nice. And then we just come and clip the mask again, same thing we did here. Okay, and we are going to close that, and then we're going to press Ctrl I, select the Dodge, the Dodge layer, and then press Ctrl I. Okay, so here's the interesting bit. So let's come and put these in a group. Okay, you click onto the burn layer, press your shift key, and then click onto the topmost layer, and then drag them here onto the group thing, and then we're going to name these burn and Dodge. Okay, so we're going to open it up. So we're going to begin burning. Okay, now you remember the parts I showed you that we are going to burn? So let me show you how we're going to do it. If you don't know, you're not sure of where to burn, let me show you a very super easy way on how to do this. What you're going to do, you come here and create a black and white help layer. Yes, and then you still come crush the reds. Okay, you see when you crush the reds how the shadows, now this is showing you that you're going to dodge here, you're going to rather burn here. See how dark this one came, and this you can burn here. You're also going to burn over this particular zone. You're also going to burn over here, because it darkens the parts that you ought to burn. Don't you see how interesting this is? My god. Okay, now let us try burning. Okay, so I'm just going to come here. Don't worry about how it looks right now, but it is going to come out super nice. So we come and select the burn layer and get our brush, yes, with this selected, and then we make sure the brush is soft. Yeah, you don't want to have a hard brush. And then we're going to come reduce the opacity here and reduce the flow. Keep it at around 8 and 10, because we want to build it slowly by slowly. Okay, let's keep it at around 10. Okay, so we're just going to come, make sure white is selected here, because the opposite here, remember, white reveals and black hides. So we pressed Ctrl I to hide the effect. So now we want to paint white over so that we bring it in. Remember, I told you we are going to first burn all around to create more depth in the face. So I just come and begin painting all around, you know, like that, all around here, so that we create more depth. Yeah, so let me just remove this black and white layer so that we get to see. Look at that. Yeah, the effect is not so intense, but we go on building it. So I just come and burn all around so that we create more depth. Slowly by slowly, you go on building it, you know. I need to still see where exactly I'm supposed to burn over the nose. So I'm supposed to burn here, just come and burn here, then around here, and then here. Then I also come and burn all around here, a little bit here. I think I saw somewhere here. And this is super simple, guys. Okay, let's look at the before. Look at the before. See how we're beginning to create depth in the whole image. You know, this is the process seems to be really like it doesn't have an effect, but trust me, these are the little things that people look at and say, there is something about that guy's pictures that other photographers, the customers, can't explain it, but they would always feel a difference in pictures that have such simple things that have this extra effort. It's this extra effort that separates Samsung from iPhone, that separates a Rolls Royce from a Toyota. These are the simple things that really give that separation. Okay, so you want to be a Rolls Royce, right? Okay, so we come here. I know you may not love the Rolls Royce, but at least be a Ferrari. Yeah, so you come and now the Dodge. So we are going to still use our black and white layer. So you see all these parts that are highlighted. So we come and paint over and Dodge, create the nose highlight. Still, you come here, we emphasize that, and then I'll come and still just dodge around that area. I'll dodge the chin so that I brighten it up. Also here, then I'll come still, I dodge over this area. Okay, let us remove the black and white layer. Okay, now, this process really can go as far as you can, but I'll keep it here so that I don't get a very long tutorial. Let me just show you the before and after. That's the before, that's the after. Before and after. I don't know whether you're able to see it, but before and after. Let me just try to burn in more so that I create more depth for the sake of this tutorial. Yep. So I just come and burn over there. I still come and burn. Until I have, yep, I think that's that. See the before, the after. We have really created depth in the whole image. Okay, so now the next thing we are going to do, I'm going to show you how to whiten these eyes and teeth. Okay, let us go into this. Now you're going to come here and go into hue saturation. Where is hue saturation? Right here. So I'm going to come and pump down saturation just like that. I only want you to focus on the eyes, okay? And then we are going to change this to a purplish kind of thing. You make sure you look at the eyes until you see them get white. So I'm just going to come and raise the brightness a little bit and then just close this. So I'm just going to come and press Ctrl I like that, and then I'm going to come here, zoom in, okay, and then I'm going to get the brush tool, raise the opacity and flow to 100, and then just come here and paint over like that. Now there is a mistake people do. There is a very big mistake that people do. Most people come and paint as far as this part is concerned. Man, this gives somebody eyes that are robotic. You don't want somebody to have robotic eyes, okay? I'll press Alt Ctrl Z to go back. So you make sure you paint and leave this pink part. Do not paint the pink part of the eyes. To some people this is brown, but do not paint this. Then you come and also paint that. We come also here and paint over here like that. So I'm just going to come back with right click and invert this color, and then I just come and rub, erase wherever this paint really splashed and wherever it went that wasn't supposed to go, and boom, that is how you whiten eyes. Don't you think that is super simple? We're going to still do the same with the teeth, okay? So we come here and then we make sure white is selected, and then we come and paint over the teeth. Now this is the other thing, that the other mistake people do. The reason as to why, when you look at this image, I do not paint the bottom teeth. The reason as why I don't paint the bottom teeth is because the teeth on top usually have more light than the teeth at the bottom. If you paint these, like, it brings the teeth closer, and this yellowing and that color that is on the bottom teeth creates more depth. If you color these bottom teeth, man, somebody comes out to be looking I don't even know what to say. Do not color the bottom teeth, only color the teeth that are on top, because these are the ones that are affected by the light, so that when somebody looks at that image, they feel it is close to reality. Remember, an editor, a retoucher, is like a plastic surgeon. When somebody looks at an image, they're supposed to say, wow, she's beautiful. They're not supposed to say, oh, the teeth were whitened. Now, as a plastic surgeon, you just know if somebody can see that, hey, that girl got a nose job, just know you did a bad job. Yeah, so make sure you create that illusion. We are doing idealism. We are just giving people their ideal selves, okay? We are not changing who they are, right? Okay, now I'm just going to go back a bit onto the texture layer and just clean up these things that we missed out on cleaning. Okay, I'll use the spot healing tool and just remove these things that we missed out. You know, that's the good thing of working non-destructively. You can always go back and, you know, edit out where you made mistakes and the like. Since we don't have time, there are certain things I really didn't edit, but if we had all that day, all the time, we would have done all this editing. And, you know, like, just I have a course that I have that has a full detailed retouch of all this on how I go all about it. And, you know, this kind of editing, I usually do it for my high-end customers, you know, those customers that are willing to pay anything for a portrait. Now, those customers, I give them this kind of retouching. Not everybody really gets this kind of retouching, okay? So, because it's time consuming, man, it's very, very time consuming. I'll share a video with you on how to do quick edits on those customers that are not, okay, on your standard customers, okay? So I've gone back just to clean up these things, because I shot this image with a 50 megapixel camera and it is not forgiving at all. Any mistake you do, it just reveals it to you. So I'm just going to rename this particular one eyes. Okay, so my brother, my sister, so what are we going to do now? We have finished the skin retouching, we have edited the teeth, we have whitened the eyes, but I have one problem here. The eyes are too white and the teeth are too white. Naturally, eyes can't be this white, okay? So I'll just come and reduce the opacity just a little bit, just to give it a feel of reality, because we don't want to go off course with somebody looking so much like an animation, okay? Like a Pixar kind of animation. So what are we going to do now? We're going to do, did I say Pixar animation? A Pixar character or a Disney character that has typically white eyes. Yeah. So the next thing we're going to do right now, we are going to come and do what they call color grading. Yes, I'm not calling it color correction, because color correction is about giving an image that is close to reality, while color grading is much more of an artistic preference, you know. That is the difference between color grading and color correction. So we're going to do color grading. We are going to give this picture our own vibe, okay? Now, how are we going to do this? We're going to come here, and then we're going to first of all give it a mode. How are we giving it a mode? We're going to, okay, before I go there, when it comes to color grading, there are three things you're going to do within color grading. One, you're going to give a picture what an overall mood. Yes. Then two, you're going to emphasize certain colors and correct certain colors within an image. Emphasize some and, you know, de-emphasize some, if that makes really sense. Okay, make some colors prominent and make some certain colors silent. Yes. Then three, you're going to add a pop or contrast or something like an overall outlook, like a contrast, a pop in that image. Those are the three phases. One, mood. Two, work on particular colors. And then three, create a pop. How are we going to do that? We're going to come here and say, gradient map. Now gradient map is going to give us the overall mood of the image. How does it do? It is like split toning. What is split toning? Split toning is giving all your shadows a particular feel and giving all your highlights a particular kind of vibe. Okay, like that's where you hear things like orange and teal, where you will hear things like where you look at a horror movie and you see all the shadows embedded into the blues, where you look at a music video and you look at all the shadows embedded in the yellows. Now that is the overall mood. How are we going to do this? We're going to come here, click here. This side represents the shadows and this side represents the highlights. So you come here, click here, and then I usually love having my shadows into the cyanish kind of section. So I make sure I choose something within these ranges. You can actually copy this color code and press it in there. You know, this is now a preference thing. It is not strict that you're supposed to go by this, but I usually love having my shadows in this kind of greenish cyanish kind of shade. Then for my highlights, I just come and add on the web thing and just come here and choose this milky kind of vibe, you know, so that I give it that kind of reddish, warmish, kind of milkish kind of thing. And I'll come here and say, okay, right there. So what am I going to do here? I'm going to close this. I'll just come here and say, okay, let's first leave it in natural, and I reduce the opacity. Okay, so when you leave it in natural and reduce the opacity, it creates something like a color cast. I don't know whether when I remove that's the before and that's the after, it creates a color cast. So we don't want that color cast, which is like a fog in front of the picture. So in order for us to have the whole mood embedded in the image, we come here and say color. We just change the blending mode to color. So the next thing we are going to do right now, we are going to come here and say selective color. The selective color, this is the phase where we begin working on individual colors of an image. So here you come and first of all work on the skin tones, which are in the red zones. Depending on what lighting you used or the surrounding of an image will determine on how much cyan you put in an image by adding it here, or how much red you add in an image. So for our case, I usually love my pictures popping. So what do? I usually come and kill the cyan just a little bit, because I don't want my tones to appear too green. So I just come and put it at around a 6 is good, and then I also come and put up a little bit of magenta just to give it a little bit of warmth. Then when it comes to the yellows, I usually love taking still it towards the warm kind of tones, because I love my browns popping. I love my browns really looking pop. So there, I'm not going to touch anything else. That is basically what I touch. I only touch the cyan bundle. I only touch the yellow bundle. Now, if you don't understand this particular thing, now look at this. The cyan, look at it as RGB. Only that the R is not written this way. But the opposite of cyan is the red. The opposite of magenta is the green. The opposite of yellow is the blue. So basically there is a CMYK this way, CMYK. The K usually stands for the black, and we have the RGB towards this side. Okay, so this is the RGB and this is the CMYK side. So it is basically colors being opposite one another. That is a good lesson to take away, right? So let us go into now. I'm going to I'm going to work now onto the cyans because of this particular dress. So I'm going to come and move it forward so that I emphasize the cyans. Do I want some magentas into the cyans? I'm just going to come and remove the magentas so that I have it looking totally opposite of the yellows. Then I'm going to also come here and then add in a bit of yellow in this particular thing right there. Now, what we're going to do, we are working on the sand. So here, I'm also going to touch the blacks so that I create a bit of more depth in color. I want the material to look more expensive. So I'm just going to come and make the colors a bit thick, just like that. Okay, I think that's that when it comes to correcting this. And this is if you're doing fashion photography and maybe you find challenges when it comes to this turquoise color, this particular knob will help you a lot. The selective color would help you tackle individual colors and make them pop. Okay, now the next thing we are going to do here, we are going to now add, you remember what when I talked about the pop thing? This is my favorite part. Let me just show you. So you come here and say curves, yep, and then you come pull this down. I love pulling the shadows down a bit, so that because it also helps me darken the hair more. And then I come onto the upper part here and then just pull out the highlights so that I get everything pop. Don't take it overboard. This also helps you to create depth within the particular image. And then I'll come here into the yellows, the blues, and then just pull down the blues just a little bit to give the picture a bit of warmth. Okay, like a bit of warmth, not so much. Then I'll come onto the highlights on here and then just change the highlights a little bit to something a bit warmer, like that. Oh my god, look at that. Now look at this. Let me just put these in a group, and we shall call these color. Great. Let us look at the before and after. Look at that before and look at the after. Before and after, before and after. So we're just going to come, I think I'm just going to reduce the opacity of the curves just a little bit so that I still remain in with a feel of that television kind of vibe to it. So the next thing we are going to do, this is optional, the next thing we are going to do, what we're going to do now, I'm just going to make this pop more. Okay, so I just come here and say, you can choose to do this or leave it out, and come here and say create, look, click at that, and then just come and raise the saturation of that just a little bit, because I hate looking at things that are too basic. Okay, just like that, and I'll just close that. That wasn't really, let me just call this a dress. Yeah, that is optional. So the other thing I'm going to show you, I'm also going to show you how to add lip gloss to this particular thing. So how do we add lip gloss? Now we just come here, get your lasso tool and put this to 0, and we are only going to add lip gloss to the lower lip, just like that. And then we are going to come into curves, and then you raise it a little. See how easy it is, guys? It is super simple, like that, and we close that. So we're going to come here into filter and say blur, and you give it a Gaussian blur. So we're going to just come and depending on, even if you don't have the mixed expensive light, this trick, so we just come and apply it out. Okay, look at this. That's the before, that's the after. Imagine we want to give it like an illusion of okay, I'm just going to come and paint black in between here just to give it a bit of depth. Maybe we say, okay, we have only lip gloss one side, and so I'll just come still here and reduce the opacity. Look at this, before and after, before and after. This is optional. All these things are optional. All I'm doing is sharing with you of what is possible. Now, I think, guys, that's that for today. I won't go any further really. I don't want the video to be so long, but that's that for today. I hope to see you in my next tutorial. If you've not yet subscribed to this channel, you should subscribe right now so that you don't miss a thing. I mean, if you've seen a lot of value out of this, I'll be super grateful if you bought me a cup of coffee. Thank you so much, and adios.